Good, Jeff. Good to be here.
Nice to have you here. Thank you for being here tonight. The hiring committee in this room has many critical concerns about the current conditions of our state. We're looking for a person who will best qualify us, that represents us in Washington. Tonight you'll have 2 minutes per question, and you'll get assigned 15 seconds when we'll wrap it up. The first question tonight is about immigration. Immigration significantly impacts our state and our country. What is your number one priority on immigration, and how do you plan to ensure this happens?
Great question, Jeff. And the first item here is it's important that immigrants come to our state through the border crossings. And right now, we have open borders. What this means is there's no need to go through the border crossings. We need to secure the border. That's front and center. Number two is, and I understand it's the first one, but first, it's important is that any immigrant that's here that isn't willing to be a responsible member of the community and obey our laws can't stay here. They have to go back home. That's first, that's number two. If those individuals that came here, not by their own choice, they need to take a look at it. We need to have a way that's fair and equitable to them, which means they can stay here and have a path forward to citizenship. But that means they get in line. And those individuals that immigrated here by themselves, they get to stay, they get a green card, but if they want a path forward to citizenship, they need to exit our state. But right now what we have is open borders in sanctuary cities. And some of the individuals want our state to become the sanctuary city. That's not an immigration policy. That is the career politician shirking their responsibilities. That's why I'm going to Washington, because we need an immigration policy, an elected official that's going to stand up for our state for what we believe in.
Thank you. Second question. Please tell us specifically the concrete examples where you believe it is possible to reduce the U.S. deficit.
First of all, I sat down with Rand Paul and we talked, and he said, Mick, had you been here, would you have signed the budget? Because he didn't. And he ended up shutting down the government. And I looked at him, I said, I'm not in favor of shutting down the government. When the budget comes to the Senate, it's either up or down. By that time, it's too late. So what we need to do, like we do for the base realignment, is a bipartisan committee that comes together to look at all the issues, look at what we can do without. Prime example would be sugar subsidies, which amounts to $2 to $3 billion a year, as well as ethanol. We are now, with a Permian Basin, we don't need ethanol, and not only does it cost us more money at the pump, but it's bad for the environment. And those are the two things we do. But again, it gets back to a bipartisan. It gets back to a candidate, a senator for New Mexico, that is willing to work together in a bipartisan approach to have people come together. In my business, what we talk about is before we ever turn a lick of dirt on a project, before we start building the project, we start building the relationships. So item one is we need to build the relationships across the aisle so we can get the job done. And that is reducing the deficit.
Thank you. Third question. Healthcare costs have increased up to 110% over the last 10 years. Now, this is a two-part question, so we'll ask you to keep each answer down to about a minute. First one, what type of plan do you favor? Single payer, open market, self-insured, or something else?
My wife's a pharmacist. My daughter is a physician assistant, now a second-year med student at UNM. My other daughter's a physical therapist. My oldest daughter and I went to Martin Heimer's town hall meeting, where he said to all of us in the audience, if you like your health care plan, you can keep it. If you like your doctor, you can keep it. And your health care can decrease in cost. None of those happen. I'm on my third doctor. I have my second health care plan, and my insurance rates have increased. We need an open market. we need to allow us, New Mexicans, to decide what plans work best for us, not Washington. And we need to be able to purchase health care across state lines, just like we do auto insurance. We need to, yes.
On the second part, what would you do to ensure New Mexicans can obtain good health care insurance at a reasonable cost?
Comes down to competition. I remember getting my knee operated on. And first thing they did was wheeled me over the orthopedic surgeon's MRI device. So I got an MRI. And going, he knew exactly what was I facing. I didn't need an MRI, but that was either to protect himself for lawsuits, or it was to generate revenue for his office, or all of the above. We need to have patients actively involved in their own medical care.
Thank you. Next question. New Mexico receives over $4 billion in federal funding for research in our labs. Unfortunately, the technology transfer between our labs and university continues to leave our state. What is your plan to keep these new companies and technologies in New Mexico where they're discovered and developed?
First of all, we need it. Our labs are important. And right now, our current senator is concerned about open space and wilderness, and not concerned making sure that our labs and bases have the right mission. So the first item is to make sure, as a U.S. Senator, that our labs have the right mission, that mission is funded, and the money is followed through. But that ties in now about technical transfer. Los Alamos is mainly about weapons development and ensuring that, one, the weapons go off when it's supposed to. Sandy is a whole different ballgame, and they work very hard for technology transfer. Prime example is that Sandia came up with technology to separate CO2 from exhaust stack on coal-fired power plants. Martin Heinrich, all he's concerned about is open space and wilderness, and didn't even concern about that technology, how we could keep our coal mines operating efficiently, safely, and still protecting the environment.
Remember, keep on topic and answering the questions, not talking about your opponent, but about why your ideas for the
Thank you. Appreciate that, Jeff. So again, it comes down to, we're not going to be able to put a wall around our state so the ideas don't go across. The way we want to keep industry here, look at it. It's about safe communities. How do we keep our doctors here? Safe communities. My daughter's getting gas. And a couple came up to my daughter and said, hey, I think you need this. And they handed her a can of mace. She said, when we came to Albuquerque, we bought this because we knew what Albuquerque's like. And we're leaving and we don't need it back home. If we want to keep our doctors here, we need safe communities. That's how we keep the ideas here. If we want to keep our doctors here, we need safe communities. You think my daughter wants to stay here if she can't be safe?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Every few years, Congress has discussions about base realignment, closures, BRAC as we know. New Mexico has 4 military bases, which receive federal funds, employs many civilians, and contributes to our economy. If you're serving and BRAC becomes a discussion, to bring up BRAC and becomes a discussion, what is your position in regards to New Mexico and our bases?
BRAC is coming. I've talked to several retired Air Force generals. I've talked to a buddy of mine that was in the Air Force, retired, was the CEO of a 4,500 person defense contractor in Northern Virginia. He said, Mick, BRAC is coming. The time to worry about whether our bases stay open or not isn't when they have the commission, it starts now. The first item is we have an Air National Guard with no airplanes, if you're not aware of that. We need a new mission for our Air National Guard. It should be logistics. Either C-130s or the new air tankers with the Air Force. That's number one. Number two, at Holloman Air Force Base, they have F-16s. We're getting more F-16s. We lost state-of-the-art fighter jets in Holloman. That legacy ended. We need that F-16 mission that we have now is only interim. We need a permanent solution for all of it. If we don't have solid missions for our bases and our labs, the labs and bases are going to close. It starts with being concerned about what the mission is. Pete Domenici did a great job of that. I intend to carry that on. Thank you.
Last, in 2 minutes or less, please tell the hiring committee why you believe you are the best candidate to represent the people of New Mexico as U.S. Senator.
It's an easy answer. Listen and read about all three candidates. I traveled the state for 3 years. I got in the race because New Mexico has one of the highest unemployment rates in the nation. Crime is intolerable in our state. In our school systems failing, we have one of the lowest graduation rates from high school. People are saying to me across the state, we want a senator concerned about jobs, concerned about jobs and opportunities. They want safe communities, and they want a school system that works for the kids. When I go to Washington, those are the three things I'm going to be concerned about. We don't have and I know, and you're saying, why pick me? I'm not focusing on open space and wilderness because we don't have an open space and wilderness. People aren't moving to Texas because they have more open space and wilderness. They're moving to Texas because they have more good paying jobs than we do. That's just plain and simple. That's why. Because I am going to be focused on what the people in New Mexico want. I care about our state deeply. It bothers me. It troubles me to travel our state and look at the communities in New Mexico that are boarded up. Espanola, you know, what a great town. I've worked there. I've built there. Las Vegas, New Mexico. I'm there. I'm talking to people. Believe it or not, I go in a hair salon, talk to them about what the issues are, right? It's about good paying jobs. They're telling me today it's changed. And now when someone gets a job, they don't wait for their kids to get out of school. They're gone immediately. Thank you.
Mr. Rich, thank you. The hiring committee appreciates you being here tonight. The voters of New Mexico will let you know on November 6th if you're selected for the next job. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you very much.